living in Atlanta like we do, I guess we'd all agree that we live on Eastern Standard Time. Well, some of us do. There are more than a few in this time zone, however, who live on another kind of standard time. Walmart Standard Time. Of course, Amazon and Zappos and all the other line sites may have changed this a bit, but not that much, I think. Many people still live on Walmart Standard Time. In other words, they know what time it is, what season it is, by checking out not their watch or calendar, but what's on display, what's lining the shelves at their local Walmart. They know Christmas is coming because suddenly Christmas ornaments and lights and Santa Clauses are on display in July. And then what? Oh, soon Valentine's decorations appear, and then on St. Patrick's Day, and before you know it, little bunnies start popping up all over the place. So Easter must be just around the corner. And then it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, and you can hardly catch your breath before school supplies replace tanning lotions and lawn chairs. Halloween masks are staring back at you, and little turkeys are roosting on the shelves. And oh my goodness, would you look at that? Christmas decorations are out already. Walmart Standard Time. And according to Walmart, what time is it? Why, it's time to buy, of course. And what season is it? Shopping season. Another shopping season. One season overlapping another, so that it's always shopping season. Christmas and Easter, not holy days, not religious days, but days to shop for. Jesus, the greatest friend Walmart ever had. The consumer's greatest friend, too. Thoughtfully giving Walmart something to sell, and consumers something to buy. Of course, it may not be Walmart Standard Time that people live by, but another kind of time. Sports Standard Time. Now, 2 weeks from today, for many people, will not be the 6th Sunday after Epiphany, whatever that might mean, but Super Bowl Sunday, a day of devotion and ritual and worship, if there ever was one. And then on to March Madness. Oh, if you're not into such things, those are college basketball finals. And after that, the baseball season leading up to the Fall Classic, which overlaps college and pro football season and culminates with bowl season, and once again, the Super Bowl. Or maybe it's the Daytona 500 that tells what time of year it is. And I guess there are other kinds of time too. Job Standard Time, the job setting the calendar, marking the seasons, or children's standard time. The children's schedule determining the parent's schedule, everything revolving around the child. Maybe even retirement standard time, which really is scary, I think, you know. And the thing is, the calendar we follow, the standard time that we live on, has much to say about who we are as people, what shapes and guides us, how we see ourselves, and what we value. And more than we realize, perhaps, it's our culture that sets the seasons, gives us our calendars, defines who we are, shapes our wants and desires. Or maybe we just let it. So not Eastern Standard Time, but some other kind of standard time. Oh, by the way, do you know there's only 335 shopping days left till Christmas? Goodness. And what got me to thinking about this were those Beatitudes we heard as our gospel reading for today. Whatever else they might say to us, this much is clear. Jesus sees things very differently than the way many people in this culture sees things. Jesus just doesn't seem to value what many people value. Excuse me. These are necessary, sorry. At any rate, the Beatitudes are not commandments. They're descriptions. They are descriptions of the good life according to Jesus. And what is the good life according to Jesus? Well, as someone else has put it, the good life is knowing that most days Spiritually speaking, you're rock bottom poor, have little to offer and everything to receive, and yet discovering that the emptiness you feel is simply more room for God to enter in, and that you are rich with God's grace and mercy. And the good life is mourning over the hurts and pains we brought on ourselves and others, and mourning too over the suffering of others, because we know what it's like, and yet discovering that God also knows and hurts with us and comforts us. And the good life is being gentle and knowing that you're going to get walked over again and again, and yet remaining undaunted, remaining human, and maybe even making those who enjoy walking over others a little more human as they finally learn that all they try to grab and grasp and get can only be had as a gift. Life, joy, peace, the earth itself. And the good life is knowing that you're not very righteous, but hope to be someday, and knowing how far you still have to go, and that to keep hungering and thirsting after God is to be more filled with God than the self-righteous one, who is filled only with himself. And the good life is seeing in the mirror every time you comb your hair all that you are not, but so want to be, and showing mercy to others whom you know have a tough time looking in the mirror themselves. Showing mercy because the one thing you know for sure is that you wouldn't have made it to this day without God's mercy and the mercy of others. And because in showing mercy you receive enough mercy to keep looking at the face that stares back at you from the mirror every morning. And the good life is realizing you're not pure by a long shot, but at least you try to be pure in heart. Keep some inner freshness and innocence alive enough to see God in others and in this world and even in yourself, and trying to bring about peace wherever and however you can. Maybe because you're so far from peace most days and crave peace, and thus seek to be at peace with your neighbor and God and even yourself. And the good life is siding with heaven when any fool can see it's the losing side, and all you get for your pains, more pain. It's serving and doing God's work even when your only reward is feeling like a fool. Serving even when no thanks come and people only expect more and more. Serving even when you see no results. Serving simply because you must. You can do no other. That's the story of the good life, as Jesus tells it. And that's the story that should shape our lives. To be Christian is to have the gospel shape and form our lives. Shape and form beliefs, thoughts, opinions, attitudes, and actions. Even our wants and desires, our moods and emotions. Certainly our choices and decisions of behavior. It is to live according to a very different story than our culture tells. But the truth is, as Christians, it is the story of our culture tells that often shapes and forms us more than anything. And the story our culture tells is that the good life is the story of consuming, getting, having it all. As a matter of fact, now and then we're told that a good citizen is a good consumer. And the heroes in our story, well, they're the winners, the strong, those who seek success at all costs, not afraid to push the weak out of the way, anything to get the American dream. Our cultural story, unfortunately, is a story still of valuing the self before all others, valuing success before a life of significance, often valuing things more than valuing being human. Actually, it's a story that's the exact opposite of the story the gospel tells. And yet, how do we actually live according to this gospel story? I mean, how do we do it? Well, we might try to live according to what is called a Christian seasons calendar, which years ago I may have mentioned. Anyway, most religions strive to follow their own spiritual calendars, Jews and Muslims and Buddhists. Christians, however, don't really. We pretty much follow the secular calendar. So, this one congregation decided to follow the liturgical seasons as a way of reminding themselves that they were to live out the Christian story of Jesus' ministry, suffering, and resurrection, in ways sharply distinct from secular culture. It was a way of saying that Christians are to follow a different tradition with different values and heroes. In other words, Christian standard time. Now, the calendar is not organized according to the usual 12 months, but according to the 7 liturgical seasons of Christianity. The 4 weeks of Advent make up one page, followed by the 12 days of Christmas, as well as fold-out pages for the 5 weeks of Epiphany, the 7 weeks of Lent, the 7 weeks of Easter, and the 5 months marking the time after Pentecost. New Year's Day is the first Sunday in Advent, and January 1st is simply one of the days of Christmas. And I wonder, what difference would it make in our lives if we got up tomorrow and the calendar we looked at didn't say that it was simply January 30th, but before all else, a day in the season of Epiphany. I mean, Epiphany means appearance and refers to the appearance of the light that is Christ. And its message is that God has come to be with us and that beyond whatever darkness we might face, there is a great light. Maybe more than a few of us could use that reminder tomorrow, as well as a reminder that we are to look for that light each and every day. The light in ourselves, certainly in our culture like ours, a society ours, to be reminded that beyond the darkness, there's a great light. Is something we need to hear again and again. And if the season was Lent, with its emphasis on repentance, turning toward God anew, turning away from all the little gods of our culture and living with faith, and its story of the suffering and death of Christ, if each day during Lent we saw that reminder, would it help us remember that God has acted to set us free from all that enslaves and destroys us, free to live differently? I wonder, would it help reshape our wants and desires, be a little less divided at heart, lead us to valuing serving, giving ourselves, risking ourselves for the sake of God, even being gentle, showing mercy? And the season of Easter. Now, I don't know about you, but I need more than one day in the year on which it's proclaimed that God has the power to raise us up to new life, new hope, work new possibilities. I need more than one day to remind me how my moods should be shaped by hope. And I can be a life giver myself. And Pentecost, with its emphasis on the Spirit and the church, chances are more than a few of us could use 5 months of daily reminders of how the Spirit works in us, gives us gifts of the Spirit, what it means to be a church, and what it means to be on the side of heaven. Daily reminders of the ministry of Jesus and what it means to be Christ to others. And Advent and Christmas, oh, I don't know, most of us could probably use a little different calendar for that time for sure. Because between unpacking and setting up decorations and then packing them up and putting them away again and shopping and wrapping and shopping some more, with only a few hours somewhere in there to actually enjoy and celebrate what Christmas is really all about, many of us could use a daily reminder of the true nature of the season. And maybe new heroes too. In Mother Teresa's mission in Calcutta, there was a sign which read, "You can do no great things. You can do only small things with great love." And that's exactly what she did, day after day, year after year. She did small things for the poorest of the poor with great love. Did she eradicate poverty in Calcutta? No. Did she wipe out all disease? Far from it. Did she relieve all the suffering in that city? Not by a long shot. So in her own mind, she did no great thing. Never would. Just kept doing small things with great love. And yet those small things gave hope to thousands upon thousands and moved people all over the world to work with her, support her, increase hope. She's still one of my heroes, along with others I know. Everyday people, many of you here, who live with great love, show a love and a kindness, a mercy and a compassion that does give hope to others. You might not think it's anything, just little stuff. But oh my goodness, when done with great love, it truly makes a difference. And what difference would it make in our lives if our heroes were not some sports figure, a Wall Street high roller, or some Hollywood celebrity, but heroes like this, heroes who did small things with great love. It's a start, perhaps, way to get started on new stories about truly good life. Oops, oh my goodness, would you look at the time. There's hardly enough time to have lunch, then beat the crowds to Walmart for the pre-Valentine's sale on Easter bunnies, which starts today. Then again, you know, maybe it's time that we start living time just a little differently. Amen. Amen.